You could throw all of the stats and overall records out the window when you have two in-state rivals matched up just like this one. Jared Oliver alongside with Caleb Johnson. Both games came down to the wire. We'll start with the women's. The women's played fairly well, getting a good win, 61-60. Astasia Tyter hit the game winner near the free throw line. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I mean, they did play a good game, able to pull it out last second. I mean, just definitely an improvement for Georgia State. This women's basketball team, they needed this type of win. They needed to get some confidence. I mean, just such a lazy play, losing the last few games. I can't even remember how many. But it was good to see them get this win, even with the mistakes. I mean, there's definitely things to work on. Big one to me stood out was turnovers for Georgia State. I mean, 23 turnovers for the ladies versus 14 against Georgia Southern. So, there's some positive things to take away. The Southern team is honestly not that good. Right. 7-19 overall record. So it was good to see Georgia State get this win. And
they were able to get some second chance points. They scored 15 points and getting 19 offensive rebounds. So something that they haven't been doing well as of late. Yes. So something that they have improved on for this game. And it was good to see, they actually competed in a game that was very competitive.
Yes.
And, both teams still have a lot of things to work on. But it was good for the Lady Panthers to finally get a win, a good quality win, and some bragging rights until next year.
Definitely.
So, pretty good game for them. And they also shot 11 for 15 from the free throw line.
Yes.
So that's pretty impressive as well.
Yes.
Getting those points from the charity strike.
Big improvement from earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also 18 lead changes. Definitely a tight game throughout the whole way. 19 points off the bench. So total contribution from everyone. So
yes.
And a lot of people played a lot of minutes.
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
Well, it was just it was a good team effort. Mm-hmm. Obviously the star of the night is Astasia Tyter, excuse me. She was the big standout, birthday girl. But this is it was a good win.
Great solid win for the Panthers. All right, we're going to start with game balls. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
How about you go first?
Okay. Well, I'm going to give mine to Astasia Tyter, also the birthday girl. And that's not the only reason I'm going to give her the game ball, because it's a birthday girl. She's the birthday girl, and because she hit the game-winning shot. But it's because she gave her team a lot of confidence in this game.
Yes.
They've struggled this year a lot, lacking confidence and execution. So I think this was a great quality win for them to go into the offseason and say, hey, we can compete if we execute. So I think that's good for them, and I'm going to give it to Astasia Tyter. We don't have the marker right now, but we'll put it on there later. What about you?
Well, without trying to go with Astasia Tyter, I think the runner-up, the one who supported Astasia Tyter in her game, would definitely have to have been Makiba Ponder. She was able to contribute some points to help defensively, just all around. Being that second role player to Tyter in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Great win for the Panthers, the Lady Panthers. We'll move on to the men as another close one. Georgia Southern beat the Georgia State Panthers 54-52, close one. But it seems as Georgia State really didn't play well in this game, although it was close. Your thoughts?
It's frustrating because the score stayed pretty close for most of the game, but these two teams did not play the same. Now, honestly, Georgia Southern had the benefit of being at home. Mm-hmm. When they were home with us, we had our crowd getting into the game, really pushing things, really getting momentum going for our team. They definitely had that going, especially starting out the game. They got really hot, built about an 8-point lead really quickly.
Yeah. Started off with a 10-3 run.
Yes. Yeah. And it was rough, rough. Kevin Ware, starting off the game and getting to the free throw line, we need to make our free throws.
Absolutely.
And he misses one. It's just, it's frustrating.
I think the key point in this game was the turnovers. Both teams had 13 turnovers even. But for Georgia State on the road in that environment, you can't turn the ball over that many times in that environment and expect to come out and win, especially when you're in the position fighting to still get into the tournament. Likewise for Georgia Southern. But when you're on the road in that type of environment, turnovers 13, that just can't happen.
Well, a moment where the stat sheet can lie to you is turnovers, because Georgia State had turnovers that turned into points for Southern.
Absolutely.
Kevin Ware coughed the ball up. Stat sheet says 3 times.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was more than that. It seemed like he had more calls in the turnovers.
Yeah, he was involved in a lot more turnovers than just 3, and it was frustrating.
Yeah, a lot of loose balls.
Yes, and Southern took advantage of those loose balls, turned them into points. Fortunately for State, was that Southern, shooting the ball wasn't great, and it hasn't been for them most of the season. I mean, they aren't that great of a basketball team. It just, like you spoke before, when you get into these rivalry games, both teams are going to play very close.
Yeah, pretty much even kill. Well, of course, as we said, the ladies got to the free throw line, but the men not so much. They only got to the free throw line 9 times out of the entire game. And that's pretty bad for a team that doesn't shoot that well from the perimeter or the field. You have Kevin Ware, who's probably maybe the best slasher on this game, and for them to not get to the free throw line as much as they should, quite a level of concern, especially in this rivalry.
Well, you said they went to the line 9 times. They only produced 4 points out of those 9 shots. Yeah. Southern, they go to the line 18 times, they get 13 points. That is huge. Huge in a 2-point game. Yeah. It's very frustrating to see State not being able to get those fouls, not being able to produce. 4 of 9. If we convert 2 more free throws, you're talking tie ball game, you're talking overtime, where last time we faced them in overtime, we were able to come out with a W. It's frustrating.
I've been saying this quite a while. The perimeter defense hasn't been as effective as it should be coming from a Ron Hunter team. Mike Hughes from Georgia Southern just absolutely lit it up, especially in the first half. Not so much the second half, only 3 points, but 18 points in the first half for Mike Hughes, coming off an ankle injury where they didn't even really expect him to perform like that, nearly not even close, and he hit a buzzer at the end of the first half. Just an absolute clinic from him in the first half.
As much as we have been, kind of beating on State, frustrating with this 2-point loss, one person they were able to contain was the guy Jake Alsmiller. Yeah. They held him to 1 of 9 from 3. Yeah. If there's any light that we can look at from this game is that they were able to hold him. Because the man can shoot. He can shoot a 3.
Absolutely, it's a funny stat. He's ranked 8th in the country at attempts from where his points come from, and that's the 3-point line. Yes. And there actually is someone in the country who's ranked number 1 where they get all of their points from the free throw line. From the 3-point line, which is really crazy. But that's besides the point. But, outside of Osmiller, I think they held him to a pretty good standard of shooting. But like I said, Mike Hughes absolutely lit it up in the first half. And, that took away from a lot of momentum and confidence from the perimeter defense of the Panthers.
Well, I think a crazy thing is they didn't even need the help of their bench.
Yeah.
Only one player, the guy Devontae Boykins, put 5 points up from their bench. That was it. Yeah. Georgia State heavily relied on their bench. Yeah. So it's frustrating.
It is. So, now that we're, what's the record? What are we now? We are 14-12, okay? Yes. We are 7-10 in conference. Now looking into the future, we now have moved back to 8th in the Sun Belt.
Yes.
And we have 3 games left: App State, Lafayette, Monroe. And unfortunately for the Panthers, those are all losable games. We lost to App State, which shouldn't have happened.
Not at all.
No matter if it's on the road or away. Lafayette, definitely going to be hard for them to beat them down there. I don't expect them to beat them. Monroe now 2nd in Sun Belt, with Lafayette also 3rd in the Sun Belt. I just don't think the Panthers are going to win out. I think they could possibly lose all three of these games. The most likely game they could win is the App State game. Yes. But they lost previously early in their season, 76-67. That is a home game, but I still stand by the fact that I do not think this team will make the Sun Belt tournament. And I think right now what they should do is just keep working Isaiah Williams and Austin Donaldson and trying to get them some reps in in-game situations. But I still stand by my statement as last show. I don't think they will make the Sun Belt tournament.
And unfortunately, I think Coach Hunter would agree with you because strategically, from what I've seen from how he's played people, especially moving Donaldson in to, he's getting a lot of minutes.
Seems like he's transitioning until next year to see what he has.
Yeah, I think so. And, unfortunately, in the present, Donaldson has been, very short of impressive.
Yeah.
But I believe Coach Hunter is trying to get him the minutes, trying to get him the experience so that he can produce next year. 'Cause this schedule, these last 3 games, it's
tough.
Yeah, they don't look winnable. I mean, the Monroe win, that we're talking earlier in the season, So
yeah, good win for them early, but as of late, they're second in the Sun Belt. They're probably playing their best basketball right now. So,
yes.
But we'll see what happens. We're going to move on to game balls for the men. I'll let you start with this one, Caleb.
Well, I'm going to go a little off of things normally. I'm going to give the game ball to Coach Ron Hunter.
Wow, really? Why is that?
I think strategically, as far as calling plays, getting the right men in the game, he did his job. I think, unfortunately, the guys he put in there didn't produce. Because, sure, there were some standout guys, but I felt like there was an overall team effort, just guys didn't produce like we want them to.
Yeah, got you. Well, my game ball, I'm going to give it to Isaiah Williams, the transfer from Samford University. 9 of 16 from the field, 4 of 9 from three-point range.
Yes.
This year we're not used to that coming from this team, from the perimeter. 22 points, definitely. I think this is probably his best game, his best coming-out game.
Yes.
And when better to do it on ESPN too, Yes. I think, him moving to the shooting guard position has kind of opened his game, and he has a lot more freedom. Having Austin Donaldson out there with the point guard position. But I'm going to give the game ball to Isaiah. I think he deserves it. 22 points. Played in a hostile environment. He got his confidence going from the perimeter as he's been trying to do all season, but finally he got it clicking. So Isaiah Williams, get the game ball from me from this show. So, sounds good?
Yeah, it does.
Game ball. Split win. Panthers won in the ladies. The men won. The Panthers won in the ladies and the men's lost, but But like I said, with Jared Oliver here with Caleb Johnson, we'll see you next show. Have a good one.